Have you ever been looking for, say, a high-performance tool? Could be anything, a car, a laptop, maybe some advanced sports gear.
Hmm.
And you find that the more features they tack in, the heavier and, well, just clunkier it gets. You want all that power, but you really don't want the burden that comes with it.
Yeah, it's that classic trade-off, isn't it? Especially with specialized tech, you get feature creep, and suddenly you're dealing with more weight, maybe worse battery life, definitely more complexity. Finding that sweet spot, high performance, but without feeling like you're carrying a brick, that's actually pretty rare.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we're here today. We're doing a deep dive into the COROS PACE 3 GPS Sport Watch. We've looked at a really detailed review, one that analyzes its practical performance on the ground. And the takeaway that keeps coming up is that this watch is a kind of subtle powerhouse. So our mission today is to figure out how COROS managed this, something so light it's almost featherweight, but still delivers serious, dependable tracking, for runners, cyclists, even skiers who really push their gear.
Right. And the source material makes it super clear. The focus is squarely on practicality and performance rather than flashy gimmicks.
Yeah.
It seems like they made some really deliberate choices about where to invest their engineering efforts. Focusing on the things that genuinely matter to endurance athletes, and then just ruthlessly cutting the fluff. That's really the core idea we need to unpack here.
Okay, let's start with the immediate feel, the physical experience.
Yeah.
Because the first thing the review really highlights is the weight. Or maybe the lack of weight. We're talking just 30 grams with the nylon band. Now that sounds amazing on paper, but I have to ask, at 30 grams, are we sacrificing durability? Does it feel, I don't know, a bit like a toy?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the review suggests they walked that line pretty successfully. They engineered it to be, well, almost weightless, which is great for those really long 7-hour training sessions or just wearing it all day. But crucially, they didn't seem to skimp on the build quality needed to handle rough conditions. Think rain, dirt trails, maybe the odd accidental knock. Actually, the lightweight itself might even contribute to durability in a way. It's less likely to snag, maybe less likely to cause that fatigue that leads to clumsy moments.
Oh, I remember some of those early GPS watches. Genuinely felt like strapping a brick to your wrist, especially on a hot day. That wrist fatigue is absolutely a real thing. And the strap sounds like that's a big part of the comfort equation, too.
It definitely is. The nylon strap gets specific praise for being soft, breathable, and also really easy to adjust. That matters a lot for continuous wear, whether you're, cinching it down tight for a hard workout or loosening it for just casual wear. And for anyone curious about looks, the sources mention the ink nylon version specifically. Says it has a subtle, sporty flair that works for every day as well as training.
Okay, let's talk interaction. The display is a 1.2-inch always-on screen. That's good, especially in bright sun. But what really jumped out at me was the focus on physical buttons, not relying solely on a touchscreen. That feels almost counterintuitive for modern tech, doesn't it? Are they sort of missing a trick by prioritizing old-school controls?
Well, this is where that design intelligence really shows, I think. The sources strongly defend this choice. They seem to have realized that their target user, seasoned athletes, often trains in conditions where touchscreens just don't work well. Think about it. Pouring rain.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe wearing thick winter gloves. Hands slick with sweat or mud, or even just having the watch under a jacket cuff.
Right. Trying to swipe a wet or sweaty touchscreen is, an exercise in frustration. Been there.
Exactly. So the physical buttons, which are described as tactile and responsive, they provide that crucial, reliable alternative. When you're mid-interval, or maybe flying down a steep ski slope, you need immediate, dependable input. You can't stop and wipe your screen. So this choice, it's not about being behind the times. It's about choosing maximum reliability over maybe more generalized convenience. That's really the first big example of that doing the fundamentals brilliantly philosophy they mention.
Okay, that makes sense. So we know it feels good, it's light but tough, and the controls work when you need them. But comfort doesn't count for much if the engine, the data tracking, isn't up to scratch. Let's get into the heart of it, the data. For athletes who live and die by their split times, their distance logs, precision is everything. How does this watch make sure that data is reliable, even when you're in challenging terrain?
Right, and this is really where the PACE 3 shows its teeth, according to the review. The really crucial tech upgrade here is the use of dual frequency GPS.
Dual frequency, okay, sounds important. But what does that actually mean for someone running through a city or biking near tall buildings? What's the practical difference from standard GPS?
It means much, much better signal reception and stability, especially in those environments known for messing with GPS. Think urban canyons, where tall buildings bounce signals all over the place, or even just under dense tree cover in a forest. Standard single-frequency GPS often gives you those jumpy tracks, right? Adds phantom distance, or maybe just loses connection entirely for a bit. So it gets rid of those moments where your watch suddenly says your pace dropped by like 30 seconds a mile because the signal bounced off the skyscraper.
Precisely. The dual frequencies allow the watch to essentially filter out those bad reflected signals. It helps it maintain a solid lock on the satellites and lock on faster too. The result, based on the sources, is consistently precise distance and pace measurements. That builds massive confidence in the training data. It locks quickly and it stays locked.
Yeah, that confidence is absolutely key. If you're training for a marathon, aiming for a very specific pace, you have to trust the numbers you're seeing in real time.
Exactly. And this precision, it extends across different sports too. For runners, you get the full suite cadence, stride length, elevation gain, all that stuff. But the review confirms that the modes for cyclists and skiers perform just as well. It adapts the tracking metrics accordingly, making it a genuine multi-sport tool, not just a running watch with a few other modes tacked on. Now, hold on. If we've got dual-frequency GPS running, doing all this high-precision work, that usually eats battery life, right? But the next section in our source material positions, battery life is the standout feature. Possibly the biggest reason to choose this watch. How can something this light offer that kind of GPS tracking and still last?
Yeah, the battery endurance is arguably the strongest reason cited in the review to pick the Pace E3 over competitors. This seems to be where not having a super power-hungry, complex operating system really pays off. We're talking up to 17 days of battery life in standard smartwatch mode.
17 days. Wow, that's incredible. But okay, let's push that a bit. What if I'm using that high-precision dual-frequency GPS continuously? Say I'm doing a really long event, like a multi-day hike or an ultramarathon. What does it drop to then?
Even under that continuous high-draw GPS use, you're still looking at around 38 hours of tracking time. So if you're planning, say, a 100-mile ultra, that gives you enough buffer to easily cover the event, plus maybe some tracking before the race starts. And the real-world usage seems even better. Even with things like continuous heart rate monitoring and sleep tracking turned on, the watch comfortably lasts over a week between charges. That's what the review found.
Okay, but isn't that massive battery capacity coming at some cost?
Yeah.
Is the display really dim, or is the processor sluggish? What were the trade-offs COROS had to make to get that kind of mileage?
The main trade-off seems to be in the complexity of the operating system itself. It's not running a full, feature-heavy OS like you might find on some smartwatches, and that's the key to its efficiency. The display, yeah, it's not a super vibrant AMOLED like some competitors, but it's designed specifically for efficiency and, crucially, daylight readability. It feels like a very purposeful design choice. Prioritize tracking time and reliability over, say, processor-intensive graphics or apps. It means you get dependability for long training blocks or when you're traveling.
That dependability is huge. It means you can actually tackle those multi-day hikes or go on international trips without constantly worrying about finding an outlet or packing multiple chargers. And if you do need to charge it,
The review says charging is quick and straightforward, uses the included magnetic cable. Simple.
right, built for people who might actually spend days off-grid.
Exactly. That seems to be the target user.
Okay, let's shift gears a little. We've covered endurance, accuracy. Let's talk about daily utility. How does the Pace E3 work as a training partner, moving beyond just logging miles to actually supporting bigger training goals?
Well, it seems to integrate pretty seamlessly into your overall wellness picture. First off, the basic health tracking is reported as accurate. The heart rate sensor is reliable, both for monitoring peak workout efforts and, importantly, for tracking resting heart rate over time. That gives you really valuable insight into recovery trends.
And recovery is just as important as the training itself, right? So how detailed is the sleep tracking? Is it useful?
It sounds detailed enough to be genuinely useful, yeah. It automatically tracks your sleep and breaks it down into light, deep, and REM stages. For an endurance athlete, this isn't just a novelty number. Understanding if you're getting enough deep sleep, for instance, is vital for muscle repair and knowing how ready you are for the next session.
What really caught my eye was the training plan functionality. It's one thing to just collect data passively, but it's another thing entirely to help structure your training towards a specific goal, like a marathon. How does the watch actually coach you?
That seems to lean heavily on the COROS app ecosystem, which is described as being highly intuitive. So the watch doesn't just record your run. It can execute a programmed training plan, maybe for a marathon, maybe a triathlon, whatever you set up. The app syncs smoothly, gives you clear data visualization, but maybe more importantly, it offers actual guidance and structure based on that plan.
So if my goal is, say, building endurance over the next 3 months,
Yeah.
the system might tell me, okay, today you need 45 minutes in zone 2 heart rate, not just report that I ran for 45 minutes.
Exactly that. It guides your workout based on your goals and established training load principles. And the post-workout summaries are detailed. They help you see not just what you did, but why it mattered in the context of your bigger plan. It shifts the watch from just being a passive recorder to more of an active training tool.
And finally, we should probably touch on the features for the outdoor adventurers, people going beyond the track or the road.
Yes, definitely. For anyone exploring new routes, the built-in navigation tools add a significant layer of safety and utility. You can follow preloaded routes right there on the watch screen. And perhaps most importantly, it offers the ability to retrace your steps a breadcrumb trail back. That's invaluable if you're deep in an unfamiliar forest trail or maybe navigating complex off-piste ski routes.
And just as a simple daily smartwatch, does it try to overcomplicate things there?
No, it sounds like it sticks to that same no-nonsense philosophy. It handles phone notifications promptly and efficiently, the review says, but the interface is kept minimalist and simple. It doesn't seem to be trying to be a mini smartphone on your wrist. It sticks to its core strengths. Reliable tracking, great battery life, makes it a perfectly good daily wearer without adding unnecessary clutter or distraction.
So if we pull all these core pieces together, the 30-gram comfort, that dual-frequency GPS precision, and the genuinely impressive week-plus battery endurance, the verdict from our source material seems really clear. This watch doesn't try to dazzle with unnecessary features. It knows exactly what it's for, and it focuses laser-like on doing the fundamentals brilliantly.
Yeah.
It ends up being a super reliable, powerful training companion that just kind of disappears on your wrist.
Yeah, it really embodies that idea of a subtle powerhouse. The review actually concluded with the thought that sometimes less really is more. By prioritizing that core stuff, reliability and tracking, longevity and power, and ease of use, especially in tough conditions, prioritizing that over just piling on features, Chorus seems to have created a highly effective and very competitive tool. They kind of proved that thoughtful limitation can actually lead to superior performance in the areas that count most.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. We've just looked at how the success of the Pace 3 really comes from its intense focus on robust core features. Even if that meant sacrificing some flashy elements, like maybe a super high-res display or a full app store. So consider how this fundamentals-first approach might apply to complex decisions you face every day. Are you prioritizing the robust core features and the reliability you actually need in your essential tools, whether they're digital or physical? Or is it easy to get distracted by complexity, by feature creep, by those shiny gimmicks that ultimately might just drain your energy and resources without adding real value?
Yeah, think about what your actual goal is, and then ask yourself, are the tools you're using helping you execute the fundamentals brilliantly? Or are they maybe just adding unnecessary friction? Something to mull over as you look for your next high-performance tool, whatever it might be.